Hi, I'm Rory Butcher and welcome to the Knockhill Superstocks 600. We're here for the final race meeting of the year and we're racing in reverse direction. I'm going to hand you over to Duncan and Dennis in the commentary tower for the points table.
Thanks very much, Rory. As you can see, Brian Duncanson is the championship leader and Brian Duncanson is the champion, from Michael Robertson and Greg Gilfillan. Callum Patterson in fourth with Chris Cook, Sean Gilfillan, who's moved up a class, Liam Shelcock and Richard Stanbury.
Ian, this is the first reverse direction race we've had here in over 20 years. What kind of investment and what kind of changes have you had to make to the circuit for this to happen?
Well, we've had to do several changes, Rory. We've had to increase the runoff at Clark mainly, because the bikes are coming into Clark from opposite direction and they needed just a wee bit of runoff in case it goes wrong. So we've actually increased the runoff there by about 8 metres. We've raised the gravel trap height entering the chicane by about 2 metres. We've invested in new recticel in different areas of the circuit, and there's new safety features at the marshal's posts as well. So overall there's a lot of changes to comply with the regulations to get our licence to run this first event.
Okay, so that sounds like big changes to safety, but on an events point of view, where can you see this reverse direction circuit going?
Well, what it's doing is instantly we've created another international venue in Scotland, and Knockhill in the anti-clockwise direction, which I think we need to get another name for, because it's like another circuit 20 miles away. With this configuration, people would be raving about it, but we've actually got it on site in the same venue. So I think we've got two fantastic international venues on the same site. So instantly we've doubled the number of permanent venues in Scotland.
Excellent, thank you very much.
Thank you.
So let's look at a lap of Knockhill on board reverse direction. First of all, you start by coming in towards the rear radio hairpin, tricky long downhill braking section into a corner which falls away from you. Having said that, though, after the apex, the track really starts coming back to you and you can pick the bike up and accelerate hard along Hislop's and then in towards Clark's. Hislop's a long right-hander which tightens as you come through and in towards Clark's. But when you're going to try and pick a braking point, pick the bike up, get the speed scrubbed off and then turn into Clark's. The corner drops away from you all the time as you accelerate hard down the back straight towards John O'Weir chicane, where another tricky braking marker is to be found. Try and use the curb on the inside and the outside and accelerate hard down the hill up through Butchers, where you get a big compression at the bottom, then brake for Scotsman corner. Don't run in too hot, get it back to the inside and pick it up and accelerate hard, then try and keep a nice constant smooth flowing speed through Leslie's, flick it back for the top of straight curves and then wind the power on using all that road and accelerate hard towards the Beatson's Building Supply Bridge. That's a lap of Knockhill on a Superstock 600. Let's hand back to Rory in the pit lane.
We're here in the holding bay waiting for the Superstock 600s to kick off. Let's go and have a word with some of the riders before we head on circuit. Okay, we have Greg Gilfillan here. Okay, he's had a great season already. He won the last 2 races here at Knockhill, but that was in normal direction. How are you feeling today about the reverse direction?
I was feeling good up until my crash yesterday. I was still not used to the bike. It's my brother's old bike that he used to race on, so still getting used to that. But after qualifying, I was quite surprised where I was. So hopefully I'll do good in the race.
Okay, so you're hoping for a better race after qualifying. Now, what did actually go wrong in qualifying?
I was taking it easy. I held back and let everyone go, but I didn't want to crash after yesterday, so I'm still trying to build up my confidence. Yesterday
it was a big shunt you had in testing, so I take it you're just getting your head around the circuit and going to build up to it. Well, best of luck in the race, alright? Well done. Callum, how you doing?
Fine.
You put on pole today.
Quite surprised. It was only my second day on the track. I'd done the test day yesterday, but I wasn't too sure about it, but I was a bit surprised.
Okay, so where do you think you're finding the time? You think you've got more commitment for the quick stuff?
I'm not too sure, to be honest. Just smooth, steady away, and just happened to be on pole.
So it's just feeling quite good for you. Now you've had a number of podiums, but you've not yet won a race. Do you think this could be the time that you take a race win?
I don't know. I think when you win a race, when you least expect it. So I'm not going to say I'm going to win, but obviously try my best.
Okay, well, best of luck, alright? Okay, I think we'll now head to the championship winner, Brian Duncanson, just for a quick word. Brian, how you doing? Now, you've won the championship already. You're going to head out there and just enjoy the race. You still want that win?
If the win's there, we'll take it, but we're just out to have a laugh today.
Okay, so how are you feeling about the new circuit, the new configuration? You think it's tricky, or is it quite flowing for you?
No, I quite like it. I think the back section's certainly more flowing, so totally different, but
it's a good change for everyone.
Excellent. Now, if you were to pick one place to overtake, is there anywhere that you've got in mind you've been thinking about?
There doesn't seem to be many places to overtake. I think the hairpin's the obvious one, but we'll just need to see what happens as the race goes on.
Okay, well done. Cheers.
So thank you very much, Rory Butcher, for the interviews in the pit lane there. The bikes leaving the holding area, and if you just stare to the right hand side of the screen there, the man in the funky hat, Cathal Lafferty. Cathal qualified in 6th place but is not going to be joining us on track, Dennis, due to some sort of engine issue. Unfortunately, a couple of laps, qualified 6th, but not to be for the young Irishman.
Yeah, for sure. The first time he's actually been around the circuit, we're impressed. He came here this morning, had a jog around the track to learn it, went out in qualifying and was straight on the pace, and was actually in the top 2 or 3 until that problem. Only managed a few laps. But the grid is as follows now, Dunk.
Callum Patterson, Brian Duncanson, John Dean, Sean Cooper, John Frost and Cathal Lafferty not there. Gilfillan, Barry and Bowen are in the third row with Tasker and Fozzard. Keep your eyes on Sammy Tasker, by the way, because Sammy has been getting very quick. Jody Chalk on the Restorer Roof Triumph in 13th. Never seen the place until this morning. So that's a cracking qualifying for the Restorer Roof Triumph. Jody getting herself in 13th and she will be moving up.
Yeah, also Ian Barry on the third row of the grid. He's been missing all year. He's not done any events. He's come in for the reverse direction meeting and stuck it on 8th place on the grid, and let's hope Ian Barry can kind of keep the bike upright and have a good few races.
Yeah, Ian Barry has given us all sorts of action at Knockhill in the past, so let's keep our fingers crossed for the big-bodied Barry as the bikes make their way up curves. John Dean, our national Superstock 600 regular, gets a little help from our friend Bob Scott Bikes, and we'll keep our eye on John Dean. But also a man to watch, back row of the grid, Paul Wishart, somebody who we haven't seen race at Knockhill for a long time, coming back from quite a severe wrist injury which he broke, I think, at an MRO round down south. But Paul Wishart is a man to keep your eyes on. White RST, leathers and a white R6 Yamaha, extremely quick, and he will be charging through the field.
Do we know why he actually has to start from the back of the grid, Duncan? What happened in qualifying?
He had a slipping clutch. I've got my sheet of paper in front of me in qualifying. He got 3 laps, slipping clutch. So, yeah, last on the grid. Keep your eyes on the number 6 white R6 Yamaha. But your champion is in the front row, in the middle. The black bike with the red number plate, white helmet, Brian Duncanson. Keep your eye on him. Really does quite enjoy reverse direction, he kind of said to you after qualifying, Den. And we're on board with Brian looking back. That's not a nice thing to be looking back at, that's Frosty.
Yeah, Frosty's actually positioned himself just to the side of his grid slot, so he's got a clear run down towards the hairpin for the first time, hasn't he?
So here we go, the lights are on, the lights will be on in a minute. You can see right on the green flag at the back there is Sandy Forest, and here we go, it's over to Bob Davis, who is in the start gantry for the start of the Superstock 600 race. How are the lights going to work for us this time? They're on, they're held a little bit longer, away they go, and it's a cracking start by Greg Gilfillan as he goes away forward there, and it's a poor start from Ian Barry, but Brian Duncanson looks like he's got the whole shot, as Dennis likes to call it, in towards the hairpin for the first time of asking. It's a busy track as the 600s all get themselves through the corner. Brian Duncanson leads from number 121 Callum Patterson, and then it's John Dean number 34 in third place as they head round towards Hislopson Clarkson. Look at that, Dennis, right round outside of Patterson goes John Dean.
Yeah, John Dean's been doing a couple of track days up here, Duncan, so he knows the circuit pretty well in the reverse direction, and just managed to keep the speed going around the outside of Callum Patterson on that opening lap. Notice there, Sammy Tasker's going to make a great start there, and just on board Ian Barry's going around the outside of John Frost there. And
already I think I saw Paul Wishart in the mix of that as well, going past John Frost. The white bike 2 or 3 ahead of us just now. Let's try and get him a visual on camera if we can. We're looking at the back of Angus Mearns with Ian Barry here as we come through, and I think that is possibly Paul Wishart, just a couple behind Sammy Tasker as we see Sammy in the 97 going up through the top of 8 curves and making away at the main street. That's Wishart now behind Tasker, so what a fantastic start then.
Yeah, Paul Wishart making up plenty of places on that first lap. This is a full grid, Duncan. He's done superbly well to get as far as he has at the moment, but Brian Duncanson leading the way out at the moment from John Dean and Callum Patterson. Never got Sean Cooper there in 4th place, so Sean Cooper making a good account of himself so far in the reverse direction.
Absolutely, Sean Cooper, who's been we've been impressed with him this year, but this is by far and away the best Sean we've seen of Sean on the television, as we get Brian Duncanson coming through Clark Corner on his K6 Suzuki. Remember, it's not the newest of bikes, that, and I think that's Jody Chalk possibly just off the back.
I think we've got Greg Gilfillan there as well.
Oh, that's Tony Wilson. That's our good friend Tony, who is just back from the Manx Grand Prix. Tony gives himself a little bit of a dusting down. That looked like it was straight in at the hairpin then.
Yeah, I think he must have outbroke himself there. Maybe just had a gentle off. can just kind of see a little bit from the commentary tower here, Duncan, but look at this on the start finish straight. John Dean using all the track. That's probably actually a nice perfect line there. I like that one.
Yeah, that made us stand up a little bit there. Yellow flags at the start line because that's where Tony Wilson has gone off at the hairpin. Head on there as we look further back. It is Jodie Chalk just off the back of Greg Gilfillan on her Restorer Roof Triumph, but then she's got Paul Wisher right behind them, so she's going to have to watch out for that because he's a hard charging man to come through from the last.
To come from last to where he is now, he's actually going on the outside of Jodie Chalk up towards Clark's at the moment, Duncan, so he's going to make another place up. And I tell you what, only a couple laps into this, he's still got the pace to get right through and possibly win this.
He has. He's just behind Greg Gilfillan. Greg, who tipped off at Clark there yesterday, it was a big shunt, as Rory Butcher told us. Greg lost the front going in the car, the bike kind of cartwheeled, and I believe that's maybe Sean's bike he's on.
It is indeed, yeah. It's Sean's bike he's had to borrow. They've sorted a few bits across, but ultimately it's Sean's bike, so thank God for having a bigger brother that can lend you a motorcycle, and the fact he's moved up to the ZX10.
Up the top of 8 curves to go. Brian Duncanson on the nice, beautiful black Suzuki, running and helped by John Campbell, a man from Scottish bike racing who's been around a long time. There's Wishart making a move though on Gilfillan as they go past the start line. There's Wishart on the inside the white bike. He's trying to get past Gilfillan on the orange bike, but Gilfillan's very late to brakes. Looks like he was having a lunge himself going towards the hairpin there.
Yeah, for sure. You know, he's a very hard character. He's Greg Gilfillan on the brakes. We saw that at the British Superbike meeting here, but side by side now, heading up towards Clark's as we look back at John Dean from Brian Duncanson.
Yeah, good camera shot that, and they come through Clark Corner. You see the curve, you just kind of see it disappears so quickly, but on board with Ian Barry now, number 55. Ian comes into Clark Corner. I thought that was maybe because we got a little bit wide there, wasn't too sure. Angus Mearns' own Fozzer just going out of the shot as well, and there's Frosty. What's happened to Frosty? Why is he so far back?
Welcome to another episode of Racing No Filter. Joining me in sunny California, Bill Wood, and down in sunny Florida, Peter Keene.
We're going to take a look at some of the products HPD has created for the 2012 Honda Civic, and specifically we're going to show you how to install an adjustable sway bar.
Until then, folks out there, you take care.
So welcome back. Yes, and you pick it up with John Frost just going up the inside of Mark Heritage there at the John R. Weir chicane, and that is the rear end of Owen Fuzzard that we're looking at just now, with Angus Mearns also just ahead. Gloomy skies there, but Ian Barry with a good move there, Dick.
Yeah, Ian Barry passing as you go through Leslie's up towards the top of St. Curve. Ian Barry making a good pass, and like you say, that's a reigning 400 champion who's just gone past there. Owen Fuzzard, who's still getting to grips with his bigger bikes, the 600s, and doing a great job, and both going to go past Angus Mearns.
Good man to get on the brakes if he can get it, and he gets alongside Angus. He gets tipped in. Good move, Ian Barry. Well done, that man, and he gets the thing up and accelerates out the corner. But yeah, Fozzard, that's a good scalp to have because Fozzard's a quick man. But we're back at the front. Duncanson, Dean, and it's easy for me to say.
It looks like Callum Patterson's getting frustrated behind John Dean. He's not able to get him on the brakes because John Dean runs so deep into the corners, but Callum Patterson looks like he's carrying a little bit more corner speed, and he was definitely trying to run up the inside of him on the exit of Clark's there. And I think Callum Patterson, if he could get past John Dean, would have the pace to try and catch up with Brian Duncanson at the sharp end and challenge for the win.
John Dean's awesome up there, Dean. So it's talking at the top. He is mega as they come up the top of 8 curves, right out over the curb and using a bit of pit lane. Good to see that. But Brian Duncanson leads from John Dean. Callum Patterson a little bit sneaky into the hairpin, and there Paul Wishart just behind him ahead of Greg Gilfillan now.
Paul Wishart has been the fastest man on the circuit. He has set the fastest lap, Duncan. He is incoming.
Oh, and we've got a rider down there. Is that Ian Barry?
Yeah, that looks like Ian Barry, doesn't it?
Ian Barry has gone down at the exit of the John R. Weir chicane just before Butchers, and he kind of shrugs his shoulders. What a shame for Ian. And we see him going away now. We're on board with Ian. He runs into the corner. He goes straight on. He goes over the curb and down. No, he doesn't. He keeps it upright, then falls off on the grass. What a shame.
He just missed his apex, didn't he? He tipped in probably a foot too late, and that was a momentum carrying him wide. So unfortunate for Ian Barry to go down in this one, but still at the sharp end. Brian Duncanson has stretched away. That's a good enough advantage at the moment over John Dean in second place, but Callum Patterson looking menacing. But Paul Wishart also in the background there. He's wanting to get through and get past because he is the fastest man on the circuit.
Here he comes. He's winding himself up now. He's tucked in behind Callum Patterson. I think Wishart's going to go for it on the brakes in towards the up and watch the white bike on the inside. A little bit of air in that back wheel, just lets off the brakes so he gets alongside, but no, Callum Patterson, he really has found form, hasn't he? From coming from the Mini Twins last year, and there, well, maybe found form, but did he miss a gear there? Because Wishart just absolutely powers alongside him.
All you need to do is look forward all the time. That's cost him a position there. Paul Wishart gets past, obviously, Callum Patterson helped out by Howard Selby Autos there, and I think just a slight mistake by looking back there. You should always just be looking at the man in front and just read your pit board.
There's number 6, Paul Wishart, into the chicane, uses a curb, the Ian Barry crash, just getting picked off and moved to the side and up towards Scotsman Corner goes Wishart. Wishart's strong here, Dennis, for a man who's completely new to the circuit and new to Knockhill Motor Sports Club. Paul Wishart looks like he is quick as he comes up the hill. Is he going to get tucked in behind John Dean, who's mightily impressive out with 8 curves and up the start finish straight there? Callum Patterson looking back again, and here comes Wishart. Is he going to get second place? Is he going to be brave enough on the brakes? Got to watch, there's a little bump. It's not a bump, is it just a crest?
Yeah, just right in the middle of the circuit. You've just got to be either half a foot left or half a foot right of it, just to keep the bike nice and planted and nice and safe. Also in the background is we've got Greg Gilfinnan and still Sean Cooper hanging him well, so still making good accounts of themselves just behind.
Yeah, if Brian Duncanson had a rear view mirror, this is what he would be seeing, and he'd be happy. Nice bit of clear tarmac further back, but we pick up with the Frost Fozzard battle.
And it's Mern still in the mix there, isn't it?
I thought we were about to see something happening there, thankfully we're not, but yeah, Wishart all over the back of John Dean now. Looks like he ran in just a little bit hot to the John Away chicane, which kind of cost him a little bit, but by the time they get back to Scotsman, he's got Patterson all over the back of him, and Greg Gilfillan, he is not finished in this yet. That orange Kawasaki could be catching up. The GSG Racing Kawasaki is going to be in the mix, but Brian Duncanson's checked out. That's why he's the 2012 champion. He's already on his way to the hairpin.
Greg Gilfillan, like you say, he's incoming in this one, isn't it? It's going to be a 4-rider scrap for second place.
Gilfillan gets the bike all out of shape as he goes in towards the hairpin there, but manages not to throw it down the road or hit the back of anybody. But this is not finished yet. There's action all over this battle. Look at that. Do you see the big wobble for Dean there?
That looked a bit loose, but that's trying to hold a tight line right the way around. Hislop's in towards Clark's, isn't it, Duncan? He was trying to follow the white line through rather than actually using the full circuit wideness. Fozzard has gone up the inside of Angus Mearns now, and John Frost is right in the back of that.
Yeah, good move by Owen Fozzard there. Angus Mearns in a battle with his old friend John Frost there as everybody heads round towards Clark Corner, but we're back up with the battle for second. That is John Dean with the orange top to his leathers, and motorcycle from Paul Wishart on the white R6 Yamaha up the top of the hill, winding the gas on hard. Wishart looks good through. Oh, it's not a place where you want to be catching a back marker as you come up the top of the 8 curves, and over we go. It's the last lap flag now.
I tell you what, they hit that person right in the right spot. That's not affected any of the racing. They've all got past in a straight line. It's all close together.
Oh, Gilfillan is so good on the brakes at the hairpin there, but he's just not managing to slither past as we look back again from Brian Duncanson as they head towards Clark Corner, going through the fast flat out right of Hislop's, then braking for Clark Corner. We'll focus on Brian Duncanson coming into view. It's been a great year for Brian, but the guys behind them all locked in a huge battle for second place. But here comes Brian Duncanson through the John Highway chicane for the last time. Just glimpses the curbs there before he goes up, butchers in towards Scotsman Corner.
He's under no pressure whatsoever. He knows he's got a big lead. He's just taking it nice and steady right the way through to the line, isn't he? Brian Duncanson, he's been a man all year, and that's like I say, it's not a brand new bike either, Duncan, is it? You know, it's a 5-year-old machine that he's on out there, still making it competitive. I know you like them green boots as he goes over the top of the start finish line to take a well-deserved victory.
Who's going to be second place? Is it going to be Wishart or is it going to be Dean? It's absolutely on the line there, on the line completely, as we've got a rider down. We've got Callum Patterson down at the exit of Clark Corner. Callum Patterson, and where's Greg Gilfillan gone? A happy Jody Chalk in the Restorer of Triumph comes over, and there's Greg Gilfillan. Now, was there a coming together, or did he just have to run off the road due to that 1-2-1 Callum Patterson bike going down there? But well, what a cracking race here. Brian Duncanson will be delighted with that, as will Paul Wishart, coming from the back of the grid right up to that fantastic battle with John Dean there.
If he'd have got a decent qualifying in, he would have been the man for the win for sure.
He would be dangerous if he did get a good qualifying. So the bike's coming back into the Parc Fermé to the applause of all the spectators. John Dean did get second place by an absolute whisker over Paul Wishart. Fantastic result for Sean Cooper and Jody Chalk. The poor Greg Gilfillan, Sammy Tasker and Owen Fozzard coming home in 8th. Let's hand down to Rory Butcher for some pit lane interviews.
Okay, Brian, what a way to finish off the year. Another victory.
Yeah, that was perfect. Didn't really need to do it there, but got away at the front and just stayed there. So, perfect race.
Yeah, it looked like you kind of just got into a bit of a rhythm and just kept consistent and banging away those laps.
I was just watching the pit board there. I think we had about +2 or something in the last few laps, so quite comfortable. But next one's going to be a different story if Paul's up at the front, so we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, I think you're right. Now, what about for next year? Are you going to move up to the big bikes?
I don't know. We'll see what happens. It's a long winter, so plenty of time to think about it.
John, a fine second place, but you almost got pipped at the end.
It was a close one. I didn't get the best drive out the last corner on the last lap, and I could hear him behind me down the straight, and I didn't think I was going to get it, but I must have just got it by a hair length. It was just so close, but it was a good race.
Yeah, Paul rode a really good race, and so did you. Now, do you think that the reverse direction has helped you this season, because you've had very little running at Knockhill?
Yeah, I think, well, the reverse circuit, I actually prefer it backwards. There's a lot more flow, and it's a really easy track to learn, but to get it perfect, it's quite hard. But it's definitely a good circuit to use.
Yeah, you look like one of the guys out there who's actually using most of the road and got to grips it really quickly. So good job, well done on that second place. Paul, I tell you what, that was some ride. You came from the back of the grid to finish third. How'd you feel?
Brilliant. Just try to get back into it, and the new circuit, getting used to it. No, it's over the moon with that. So.
Nah, you should be really chuffed, especially you've come back from an injury from last year, and to come back in that kind of fashion and get a podium straight away. Is there any kind of plans for next year? Are you looking up to a bigger bike maybe?
Well, I want to do Superstock 1000 BSB, all depending on sort of funding and whatnot. But that's the plan for next year, is do a couple of rounds of the BSB Stock 1000 class. So just try to get some funds for it.
Excellent. So you'll be sponsorship hunting this winter then?
Oh, definitely.
Right. Well done. Best of luck.
Thank you. Cheers.
Okay, we're here with John Dean, ready for the Superstock 600 race 2. Now, John, that was such a good race in the first one. To get second place and only be a couple of seconds behind Brian. How are you feeling going into the second event?
I feel a wee bit better. I've made a few adjustments to the bike with the setup that I think I could possibly tag onto the back of Brian for the majority of the race and hopefully pip on the last lap. But we just need to take it as it comes and see how it goes, really.
Excellent. Now, you mentioned you're a wee bit nervous there, so you're going to try and use that nervous energy to help you and get that adrenaline going.
I always feel a wee bit nervous before a race. It just always happens. It's one of those things, but fingers crossed I can turn it into adrenaline and see how it goes.
Okay, well, best of luck, alright?
Thanks very much. Cheers.
Okay, Jody, you're starting from 13th like you did in race 1. Are you going to try and make your way up the grid like you did in the first race?
Yeah, definitely. Aim for a podium, just go as quick as I can, get a good start and stick to the fast boys.
Excellent. Now, you showed excellent pace there. Is there any areas out there that you feel that you can make passes?
Just about everywhere. I need quick and everywhere that I can make time. So I just need to keep pushing.
Right, well, best luck and go for it, alright?
Thank you.
Right.
So there we go as the bikes leave the holding area. Good to hear from Jodie Chalk there that she's going to be going for it, and also John Dean. Duncan Vincent here still alongside Dennis Hobbs. Dennis, what a cracking first race that was.
Yeah, for sure, it was a brilliant first race, and just like I say, unfortunately we never saw Caffel Abertail there because he would have been the man.
The grid sees Callum Patterson, Brian Duncanson and John Dean, with Cooper Frost and obviously Cathal Lafferty not being out there, Greg Gilfillan, Barry and Bowen. Now, are we going to get Callum Patterson on grid, because that was quite a big high side that Callum had at the exit of Clark Corner?
Yeah, we're not too sure on the full extent of that damage, because we've been stuck in the commentary tower, Duncan, but fingers crossed he can. I've not really seen him out of the box here. I can't spy him from the commentary position. Can you see him?
I can't see past all your coffee and juice here that we've got lined up against the window, but the bikes are on the circuit. This is our brand new camera point. AGK TV absolutely in love with this camera. It's point about 60 feet above the gravel trap, gives you a great panoramic view of Knockhill. You can see the hill there in the actual background with the famous antennas on top of it. And we are about to go racing again for the Superstock 600 here at Knockhill Motor Sports Club. Looking forward to having a good race. Can Brian Duncanson sign off with another win here? Can he do it then? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, he looked comfortable in the first race. He managed to get that bit of a gap, and let's see what happens as all the guys are making their way onto the grid now.
With this being a Scottish Championship race, unfortunately Paul Wishart still has to start from the back row of the grid. So we're going to see if he can come through again. It's a big ask for the young chap from over the water in Edinburgh, but if anyone can, Paul Wishart can, so we'll see how he gets on with this Superstock 600 race, and you can join us after the break. So welcome back to the Knockhill Motor Sports Club 600 racing here at Knockhill, and the bikes are on the grid. We've just watched the warm-up lap, the lights are on the bridge, and here we go. It's an extremely quick change by Bob Davis on that button there, and John Dean gets a bit of air under the front wheel. Look at Sean Cooper on the inside on 22 as he comes down towards the hairpin, but Brian Duncanson leads and defends in towards the hairpin. Everybody just trying to tippy-toe around. Jodie Chalk, a restored roof triumph round the outside.
Yeah, she's up to fifth in the fifth row of the grid. Well done. Obviously we're missing our pole man Callum Patterson, unfortunately not present this one. That damage was really on board. Sammy Tasker now heading up towards Clark's.
Yeah, shame we've lost Callum Patterson, but that was Sammy Tasker, the pink bike we're on board with. But once again at the front is Duncanson from Dean with Gilfillan, then Chalk. That's a cracking start by Jodie Chalk, and also Greg Gilfillan after the luckless first race that he had, kind of getting forced that a little bit wide. But we're back on board with Sammy Tasker as she goes up Butchers, and Sammy has made great strides this year then. She's got quicker and quicker, coming from a little 125 onto a Superstock 600 Suzuki. She's done pretty well.
Yeah, I can see. I was just trying to read a dash there. She was going through the Butcher section circuit, and she was in third gear right the way through there, which is probably about right for most bikes, going right the way across the board.
And behind Fozzard, surely not. Is that Paul Wishart again as he comes out from the slipstream on the main straight? Look at the top of the screen, the white bike. That's Paul Wishart already up to what must be 7th, 8th position after one lap of racing.
And John Daney is looking menacing. He said he's made a few changes to that bike. He wants to challenge Brian Duncan a little bit more for that victory, and he is definitely looking menacing in these early stages at the moment as they go back through Clarkson. A little bit of a wobble there from Brian Duncan as he went in towards the apex, and we're on board with Ian Barry, who obviously made it back out on track. Somebody runs on at the hairpin.
Who was that? Is that Tony Wilson just in front of us who decked it there in the first race, the red bike? But yeah, we'll try and get an idea on that one later on as we go, as we pick back up with Fozzie and Frosty.
Frosty doing a lot better this time around, isn't he? We've got Angus Mearns right in the back of him as well. We've got on board camera Ian Barry at the start.
Ian Barry making a terrible start, as John Frosty, and look, everybody just going past. Nothing worse when you're racing, you see that, Dennis.
He's obviously been at the Daniel Kinlock School of starting, and
harsh. Harsh but true.
Just watching all these guys, it looks all pretty close to there. Everyone gets through nice and safe, and Ian Barry unfortunately lost a load of places, and that's put him right in the back foot as John Dean a little bit late on the brakes there, tries to get in the power hard. He's trying to chase down Brian Duncan, but Greg Gilfillan there sitting in nicely right in the slipstream of this lot.
But we pick up with these bikes coming through Clark Corner. There's Gilfillan, a good ride by Greg Gilfillan just now on his brother's ZX6R. He's surely not going to go up inside of John Dean there as they go through the Johnny Wheel chicane. And Brian Duncanson again is just starting to stretch his legs at the front there and get a gap.
Yeah, for sure. Brian Duncanson's just got the head down, but John Dean was looking pretty close in towards the hairpin on the last lap, but just ran it slightly wide. And you're trying to block my view of the window here, Duncan, as we're trying to watch the guys coming back through on towards the start finish straight round Seat Cave they go. And like you say, John Dean is fast out there, and he pulls out a little bit more of an advantage. He has a bit of a cheeky look behind, and all he's going to see is Greg Gilfillan right there chasing him down behind. Then we've got Jodie Chalk, and then we've got the machine of Paul Wishart looking up the inside on the brakes.
And towards the hairpin they come there, number 11 Paul Bowen as well. Paul having a fantastic race here with his novice vest on another GSXR 600. But it's good to see as they come up straight curves onto the main straight from that camera angle, then you can see more of them getting more used to using more road and curb.
Yeah, and even just watching the guys heading up towards Clark's, surprising the variety of lines that they've got out there at the moment. Duncan, like you say, everybody is learning the circuit and doing a great job. But like you say, Paul Bowen had an equally very strong first race in the Superstock 600 class, and he's having a great battle with Sammy Tasker. And I must admit, this is the first we've seen Sammy up the field in a dry race, and she's trying to chase down Jodie Chalk, and by her own means Jodie Chalk's led quite a few of the Superstock 600 races and been on the podium this year.
Yeah, Jodie just learning her way around here, as we said at the start of the show, the top of the show. She hadn't seen it until this morning, so really getting to grips with the circuit. But there's Bowen there just going through the top of Seat curves, chased hard by Sammy Tasker. 2 GSXR 600. Sammy will not like seeing orange vest in front of her, but she's just learning herself. Them have Owen Fozzard, John Frost going through. Sean Cooper's dropped back quite a bit in the pack now. And is that Mark Cumming? And is that Mark Cumming up the inside? I think it is Mark Cumming going past Angus Mearns there.
Yeah, Angus Mearns. Obviously, I think Cooper must have made some kind of mistake. He finished 4th in the first race. He was obviously
and he got a cracking start
through the field. Yeah,
he did get a cracking start, but round towards Hislop's they go, and then in towards Clark Corner here. The spectators getting treated to a very good reverse direction meeting as they tip into Clark. So we keep our eyes on Frosty, the blue bike with the yellow plate on the side of it, 66 yellow number should say. And then we fly back to Mark Clark coming number 36, and Angus Mearns number 2. Two guys that have been around for a long time, used to race 400s and other sorts.
I think Mark Cummins, with his work commitments, has only been able to make a couple of meetings as well, Duncan, hasn't he? So he's been missing for most of this season as well.
Yeah, good to see Mark here though, a thoroughly likeable chap, another one of these guys who puts everything into his own racing as we see him going up the hill, and you can see just how quick the St Curves corner is as we go back to Tasker, who's got past Bowen now, and Tammy Tasker is going to have an incoming GSXR up inside Sammy sideways. She's braking very late and just about goes straight on there, but just managing to keep out the gravel.
That was snaking around a little bit there, wasn't it? She even just went down and stood on the back brake as we go on board now. And yeah, just unfortunately she ran wide and obviously lost that place back to Paul Bowen, but they're a fantastic scrap.
Look at this, Brian Duncanson with John Dean right in his slipstream now. Duncanson defends as he goes towards the hairpin, and John Dean can get away by, but that J6R 600 absolutely on it now. These two Suzukis, but John Dean's just a little bit younger than Brian Duncanson's, not a lot though. But let's see the Suzukis, the class of the field here at Knockhill. Two Suzukis leading the way from a Yamaha. Is that Paul Wishart up in the 4th place?
It looks like Paul Wishart is incoming in the background, but you've got to say, you've got to think, looking at John Dean there, you never really got to go around the outside of Brian Duncan in towards the hairpin, and it's going to be some kind of hard move there. But obviously he's getting keen to try and get past. He wants to challenge for that victory, but he knows he's got to get his nose in front to try and keep ahead.
Dean up there. This isn't Brian Duncanson's first rodeo. He knows exactly where to position that bike in the circuit to make it difficult that if John Dean comes alongside him he could just release the brake that little bit, but he's going to have to watch because both these guys extremely quick up St Curves, and now John Dean tucked right in the slipstream of Brian Duncanson. There's not much of a big slipstream there, but he goes to the inside this time as they're going towards the open, but Brian Duncanson just covering the road. But look at Wishart in the background, the thing's on one wheel, it's sideways in the view.
And he skates it inside, looks at the inside, but he's run wide on the exit.
Yeah, the shame camera just followed the leaders there as we saw Wishart coming in sideways. Looked like he got in hot, but he has that 3rd place from Greg Gilfillan, and Greg is one heck of a hard charger. We go back on board with number 55 Ian Barry. Is that Stuart Jackson? Stuart Jackson goes up the inside and manages to stay on it through the hairpin. Well done, Stuart. A good friend of the commentary box here. Jackson's bike from Kelty. I like Stuart, and he's just had one of those years, Dennis, hasn't he?
Yeah, for sure. But just back towards the battle at the front, and John Dean, when he went to go up the inside, he never got the same kind of run out of the top of St Curve as he did the lap before, down towards the real radio hairpin, as Brian Duncan still controlling this one, but Wishart has come in towards this battle.
They're going to have to watch then.
Wishart, more of a wider exit as he comes out of the hairpin there on this lap as well, and he wasn't really under any pressure that time round from the man behind, Greg Gilfin. Looks like he's trying to break away from him now.
They're going to have to watch these two at the front. If they start battling too much, that number 6 white R6 Yamaha is going to be right in there amongst them, and Paul Wishart will not need an invitation to get past, that's for sure. John Dean all over both curbs. He is so much quicker as they come up through Butchers towards Scotsman corner, and he takes quite a wide line there. Is he trying to get a run through here? He flicks it back to the inside. He's going to keep the power hard on through the right of Les, as you can see him gaining all the time as they come up here. John Dean absolutely on the button. He's right in the slipstream of Brian Duncanson now. Which side's he going to go to? He goes to the inside. Absolutely cracking footage here. He's alongside him past. Good move, John Dean, and that was dusted before the brakes even got touched.
Yeah, and it's the last lap, Duncan. Can he make his brakes? Yeah, he's ran wide, unfortunately, and this is the last lap, so this is where it's going to count. He's going to try and get in. There's also a slow rider, a back marker ahead of them. Is that going to make anything of a difference as they go and head up towards Clark's?
All that hard work there, Dennis, and John Dean just goes too hot at the hairpin. What a shame, but it shows it can be done. Brian Duncanson is now going to be mega defensive if they can get past this back marker before the chicane. This could make or break the race. Duncanson goes up the inside, and that's done it. Oh, Dean shows absolutely no respect to the back marker and sticks his Suzuki past him also. So it's still these two at the front. That has unfortunately balked Wishart a bit, so Wishart's out with this one. He's just sneaked past now. It's going to be Duncanson or Dean as they come up Leslie's towards St Curves. John Dean again doing his big build up here. Can he slipstream Brian Duncanson to the line? I don't think so. Looks like it's going to be Brian Duncanson who takes another victory, and that was a class race. 2nd place goes to John Dean, 3rd place off the back row, the good for Paul Wishart, and then Greg Gilfillan skates in to a happy 4th place.
I think John Dean, he did say in his interview he thought he was going to make the move towards the end of the race. He does a little bit of a wheelie down towards the John Highway chicane. He did pick the right time to do it, but just ran in a little bit too hot, and that was the end of it. He ran too wide. But Brian Duncanson, what can you say about him? He's been a man on form this year, and
that onboard footage from Duncanson back, you can see Dean building all the way up through St Curves, right in the slipstream. He got past him, but then just ran too hot in the hairpin, and John will be kicking himself a fair bit for that. But number 73, Brian Duncanson, Scottish champion, Knockhill Motor Sports Club champion, He's a bit of a legend in his own right this year. He'll be chuffed with that one. Greg Gilfillan in 4th place. He will be missing the podium badly. You can absolutely guarantee that as he goes straight into the Parc Fermé. Race results sees Brian Duncanson win from John Dean. Paul Wisher off the back row up to 3rd place. Greg Gilfillan on the GSG Racing Kawasaki. Restorer Roof's Jody Chalk from Paul Bowen, Sammy Tasker and Sean Cooper in 8th position. Happy Chappies on the podium. Some trophies getting handed over, and let's hand back down to our man in the know, Rory Butcher in the pit lane.
Another 3rd place from you, Paul, and that was again starting from the back row of the grid. Superb racing. Now, how do you manage to keep going like that and pass everybody and manage to reach the front and get on the podium from the back?
Luck. I think that's all it is.
More than
I don't know, just a bit hotter in the corners, I think, and a bit quicker around the back section. That's where I'm making a lot of my time up. So,
John, a fine 2nd place again, but I think you were really looking for the win there.
I was searching for the win, but Brian set a brilliant pace and just trying to match it was hard work. Almost got him a couple of times, but outbraked myself in the last lap.
It looked like you must have been really quick coming out the final corner, because every time you came down towards the hairpin you were just on his tail, and one time you actually made a move into the hairpin because you were right alongside him.
I am getting a really good drive out of the first corner. I do notice that when I come out I'm gaining a lot on him and sort of getting alongside over the hill, but he's better than me on the brakes, so
yeah, you just run that wide that little bit at the hairpin, and obviously he took the lead back. But anyway, I think that was a fine ride to get 2nd again. Good luck for the last race.
Brilliant, thanks so much, cheers.
Brian, I thought you had that in the first few laps, and then they closed in on you, and he made a move into the hairpin.
Yeah, I never quite got the gap in that one. It was kind of close, I thought, but I got it in the end, so just managed to nip underneath John there in the last lap and held it off till the end.
Did you know he was there?
Definitely, aye, I could hear him.
And what did you do? Did you brake nice and late, or did you conserve a little bit so you could get the cut back?
I kind of knew he was coming underneath me. He was on the inside, so I just kind of gifted it to him, but I was just hoping he was going to run wide, and he did, so it worked out for me, aye.
Superb, well done, and of course, champion already. You're just adding to those points consistently, so good job.
Yeah, aye, it's been a good day. The last one's going to be good with Paul starting at the front, so it'll be a different story, definitely.
Awesome, well done.
Cheers.
Want to keep up with all the racing action at the track? Well, download the new Go Racing TV iPhone and Android app. And remember to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
So as we see the bikes going onto the circuit past the green light, let's see what the grid looks like. It is Duncanson, Dean and Wishart from the back row. He's now got himself onto the front row. Greg Gilfillan, Chalk and Bowman with Tasker, Cooper and Frost. John Frost not having the best of days on that 600. Mark Cumming and Angus Mearns have been locked together all day, and in 12th place sees Graham Perry. As we go further down through the grid there, we have got Patterson, who won't be out there, and the luckless Cathal Lafferty, who's probably already on Marty Nutt's ferry heading back home.
Yeah, for sure. He's probably already back towards the boat. Unlucky that he had a problem in qualifying and couldn't make the racing. And we are looking at the lights now coming on the Beatson's Building Supplies Bridge.
Yep, nice blue skies here at Knockhill. On with the red lights and away we go. Very quick start of Paul Wishart after getting put in the front row. Makes a bit of a howler for the start, and that's Jody Chalk going through from the second row of the grid there. As we come in towards the hairpin, it's Brian Duncanson who leads away from John Dean. Then is that Jody Chalk? Wishart has got himself up to 4th place, but already he's in a better place than he has been any other race as we go on board with Greg Gilfillan.
He's probably about 20 places further forward going towards the exit of the hairpin, but heading up towards Clark's there for the first time. Brian Duncanson has been the man that's getting away at the sharp end, and obviously he's keeping that form going. Jody Chalk looking pretty impressive there in 3rd place, but looking up the inside there, and pretty sure that was a manoeuvre.
Sammy Tasker just behind Greg Gilfillan as they go in towards the chicane for the first time, so a cracking start for Sammy Tasker on the pink 97 Suzuki.
Yeah, I'm looking back there. Is that Mark Heritage ahead of Sean Cooper?
It is that, and then Angus Mearns with just off the back of him we have got Graham Perry, so a good spot there if that was the case. But as they come through Leslie's and up straight curves, well, first corner as John Dean's calling it, I quite like that should stick. We do need to have a sort of like a raffle den or a prize giving for giving us a new name for this circuit. As the guys are now at the hairpin, it's Brian Duncanson who leads the way from John Dean. Paul Wishart goes in there pretty quickly.
Yeah, obviously Paul Wishart has disposed of Jody Chalk somewhere around that lap, and he's already looking menacing at the sharp end, and like you say, he's very close to the front, Duncan, but he's come from the back all the way up to 3rd and 2nd place today. But I don't know whether he can manage to get past. If he gets past John Dean, Brian Duncanson's going to be a wily old character. He knows where to put his bike to keep them behind.
This 5 at the front, the person who's done the least amount of laps, Jodie Chalk. Everybody else has had a bit of track time, bit of testing. Jodie Chalk just rocked up this morning, so she is still learning all the way around, and there's no better people to be following than the people that are in front of her just now. Greg Gilfillan, though, will want to get his way past that bike very quickly, past that Triumph, and get himself back up onto contention. And these 3 guys are now powering up the main straight. Out come the pit boards for everybody. Duncanson leads the way from Dean. Is Wishart going to have a look on the brakes? It is Gilfillan. Gilfillan will have a look on the brakes. As you just tilt your head to the left a bit, then it's okay. As you're coming towards the hairpin, and Greg Gilfillan makes the move stick on Jodie Chalk.
Yeah, pulls the bike back to the apex. A lovely manoeuvre there by Greg Gilfillan, so that's moved him to 4th place, but he's got a hard task now to try and gain that gap down to 2.5 towards the back of Paul Wishart. He's going to have to do really well to try and catch up. Unless these guys at the front start swapping places and holding each other up, I don't think anyone's going to get close. It's going to be a leading trio right the way to the wire.
What do you think, then? Is who you putting your 50 pence on?
I think I've got to put on Brian Duncan just because he has been in such good form. He's not got the quickest of bikes out there, but he's putting it in the right places, and he knows his racecraft is exceptional.
Yeah, I like them all. They're all great guys. I'm going to go for Wishart though, because he has been the quickest man out of the 3 of them coming from the back of the grid, and he's right tucked up behind John Dean now. But there's another cracking view. We're in the slipstream of Brian Duncanson. Look at Wishart, look at Dean. Dean pulls out and makes a move for the lead, but he can't do it. He hits the brakes. Does he hit them quite early? Is Paul Wishart going to go around the outside of him? Surely not. He tries it, but John Dean almost kind of lets the brakes off there, and he just holds that down.
It almost looked like he made a mistake on the exit there, because he dropped a fair way back from the back of Brian Duncan. That's giving the advantage to Wishart as head up towards Clark's.
You see John Dean's bike wriggling about as they go round towards Clark's through Hislop's there.
He does try to hold a tight line, doesn't he, round there, and I think that's probably the point. He's hitting a few of the bumps, and he's trying to pull the bike tight at that point rather than just let it run wide, and the bike will just be a little more settled as it goes through the John Howey chicane. He's got a lovely line there through the chicane, hasn't he?
Really good line through there. That's excuse me, the Dennis Hobbs line through that chicane there as he comes up towards Scotsman. But Brian Duncanson just doing what he does best. He's getting laps under his belt. He's got clear tarmac in front of him, and that's all Brian needs. If he can get that, he will start gapping these guys, so they really have to use their head here. These 2 youngsters, John Dean and Paul Wishart, are really going to have to try hard to catch Brian Duncanson on the 73 bike.
And I tell you, this is unfortunate for Greg Gilfillan, because he's matching the lap times of the lead of Brian Duncanson at the moment, and he's just eked a few tenths back towards the back of Paul Wishart, but still nothing like what he needs to be doing to get there for a proper fight.
Good spot there then as they head round towards Hislop's there. Fast Hislop's, and it just ever starts slowing up on itself as you get towards Clark's. And here comes Brian Duncanson. Is that Wishart up the inside? No, it's a deceiving camera look, but we both kind of looked up and stood up there in the commentary box as they come down the back straight now. Wishart does look menacing. He's going to have to do this pretty quickly. He gets a good line through the chicane this time.
He's too respectful to the chicane, isn't he? He's not using the curbs as he runs through. When you watch John Dean's straight over the top of them, and Wishart's still got that nice little flowing line as he goes through from left to right, rather than just trying to run it straight. But he keeps onto the back wheels, head back through St. Curve onto the start-finish straight, and let's see if he can do anything down towards the hairpin.
Well, you know, Paul Wishart is going for the inside line there. He's making a move, but you know, if you're Paul Wishart, then what do? Because you know John Dean's quick enough to get there, but it looks like Wishart's not having any of it. He's up the inside, and he's got 2nd place, and he's made it stick. Paul Wishart obviously believes he's quicker. Now, will John Dean just try and tag in and try and close that gap with Wishart?
Yeah, for sure. I think he's going to try his best, and that bike is bucking and waving, isn't it, as he heads up towards Clark's. But Paul Wishart, you know that he's come from the back of the grid in all the races so far, Duncan, and he's got to the front. So now he's there. He wants to get to the front and try and probably clear off. But Brian Duncan's pace is fast.
Look how much Wishart's gapped John Dean as they go through that John Howey chicane down through this tricky uphill section of Butchers, and Brian Duncanson's lead is now getting destroyed by the incoming white missile, which is number 6, Paul Wishart. Where has his speed come from? Dennis, this is surely going to be our fastest lap. You can keep your eyes on the computer as Wishart comes up the hill here. He's tucked right in the slipstream now. Wishart pulls out towards the inside, goes across. That's so close as they go over the start finish line, and Wishart gets the thing sideways, bucking and weaving, as we say.
I tell you what, how strong's Brian Duncan on the brakes as he ran wide? He ran wide.
He looks like he's gone a little bit wide, but giving him respect there was Paul Wishart. But Wishart, that's cracking camera work here. Brian Duncanson's rear view camera is giving us some of the best pictures we've seen out of 2012 from Knockhill. Wishart always looks like he's going to go up there. He's quite hard on the front end through Clark.
I'm glad to put that camera on the back of Brian Duncan, not on the front of it for sure, because all the action is behind him. But I think Paul Wishart is looking menacing, and like you said, Duncan, he never uses any of that first curve through the chicane there each time, and that could be a little bit of a line he could use towards the end of the race to try and pick up a little bit more speed. Maybe he's being conservative and just trying to hold something back.
Now we're going to come up St. Curves again here. We want to go back on board with Brian Duncanson, and we want to be looking at the face of Paul Wishart. It's maybe not the prettiest thing to look at, but that little 600 Yamaha has wound right up behind that Suzuki. Which side's Wisher going to go? He's going to try and miss the bump. Duncanson defends on the inside, he hits the bump. And then towards the hairpin, Wisher just manages not to do it.
That's clever racecraft by Brian Duncan.
Yeah.
As he comes out to seat curve onto the start finish straight, he's moving over to the left hand side of the track, and then as he comes down to the hairpin, he knows if he's in the middle, they've got to be really brave to go tight up the inside. And if they do go to the inside of him, they're more than likely going to run wide. So he's putting his bike in all the right places.
Yeah, he's not blocking, he's defending, but he's doing the defensive line in a way that's still really quick. If we look at his lap times here, back into the mid-pack, that looks like that is
Mark Heritage and Mark Cumming, isn't it?
Yeah, with Stuart Jackson flashing through there as well. But here we're on board now. Wisher doesn't want the slipstream. Good grief, they split the back marker on the main straight there. Absolutely fantastic camera work, but it's still the same 1-2.
Greg Gilfin in the background has just gone up the inside there of John Dean as well. So Greg Gilfin has been making manoeuvre. John Dean's dropped back, and Greg Gilfin is now into third place.
That was Stephen Craig getting a bit of a lesson on 600 riding here as the guy split him up the main straight, but good spot. Dennis Hobbs, Greg Gilfillan coming through the pack now. Can Paul Wisher get this done? Can he get ahead of Brian Duncanson? Because Brian Duncanson will hear that Yamaha behind him. He'll hear it screaming and howling up the main straight, and he'll be hearing him all the way up through this little section here. Wisher's good, strong there, but not having a look at Scotsman. That is a potential overtaking place then.
Yeah, for sure. If he keeps the momentum going, he's going to have a lunge up the inside in towards Scotsman corner before they go into Leslie's and back up onto seat curve onto the start finish straight. And the laps are counting down in this one, Duncan, but he's right in the slipstream again once more over the top.
Right in the slipstream here, Duncanson going to position that Suzuki as they come in. He goes defensive to the inside. He is clever. The last lap flag is out there. Wisher goes to the outside, and you're right, John Dean is now in fourth place. He looks like he's got a bit of a wriggle back on. Greg Gilfillan in third, but it's this lap. It's now or never. Can Paul Wisher get to the front of this Superstock 600 race?
You know, I've been watching this for the last few laps, Duncan, and Brian Duncan, like you say, he's clever. His racecraft is superb. But where's Paul Wisher? Where's he going to try and make a dive? Is he in towards the top of the John Howe chicane?
Here we go. Wisher's looking, lining him up there, but Duncanson again just sits in the middle of the road, then takes the line.
But he's mega strong on the brakes as well, isn't he? And this is probably the last opportunity. He's going to have a look at the inside in towards Scotsman corner.
Trying to go round the outside there. It looks like Brian was just a little bit lame in the middle of the chicane now. Can Wisher get up the inside of him here as they go through the right of Leslie's? We're on board. He's a cracking shot. Wisher is so close behind them. If anything, he's a little bit too close as they come winding up onto the straight. The little 600 Yamaha and the 600 Suzuki. It's a dash for the cash to the line. And it's Brian Duncanson who takes the victory from Paul Wisher in second place. And in third place we see Greg Gilfillan with Dennis Hobbs patting his leg. Well chuffed with that one.
Yeah, for sure. Greg Gilfillan did a great job to get himself up to third place ahead of John Dean, and fantastic racing right the way throughout for all these Superstock class riders.
Brian Duncanson wins the race. What a race it was from Paul Wisher, with Greg Gilfillan getting on the podium. John Dean just knocked off the podium with Jody Chalk a fine showing in fifth. Cooper, Tasker and Bowen in 8th position.
Greg, you had a tough time yesterday in testing, and it kind of showed in your qualifying today, but you've certainly come back from that with a podium at the end of the day, so well done.
Yeah, it makes up for a bad weekend, I suppose, but would I like to get off to a better start, because I felt good in the reverse direction, but after that crash yesterday I lost all my confidence, and that was my brother's bike I was on as well, so I was struggling to get up to pace on that.
Paul, you started in the top three there, which is different from the first couple of races, and I was thinking you were going to get that win, but it was just so close between yourself and Brian.
Brian's that good in the brakes, just couldn't get up the inside of him anywhere, or couldn't get even a look into him because he's that strong. But no, he rode well, and I tried my hardest there, and that was it.
Absolutely mega.
Brian, I tell you what, that was probably the toughest race of the day for you. Paul was right in your tail, and he did mention there that you were so good on the brakes, he just couldn't pass you.
Yeah, had a go at the hairpin. I think must have been at lap 5 or 6, and kind of got past and ran wide at the same time, so I managed to nip back underneath him, and every time I was just trying to stay towards the inside of the hairpin because I knew he was going to be strong there, but just enough, no more.
Brian Duncanson, winner on 248. Brian Duncanson wins the championship ahead of Michael Robertson and Greg Gilfillan. Callum Patterson, Jody Chalk and Chris Crook sees down to 6th position. But what a fantastic year it has been for Brian Duncanson on his Suzuki.
The 2012 Knockhill Superstock 600s have come to a close, and what an action-packed weekend we've had. Now you can catch a season review on Motors TV closer to Christmas. We'll see you next year.